I mean, it's this thing, Jenna Clark, when you start to hear that books are disappearing from libraries in Hong Kong, I mean, this stuff is frightening, and you've got to think about this here, right? Which is that there are people who are disappearing from their jobs or organisations who are deplatformed because they don't kiss the ring lovingly enough. Now, there isn't a person amongst us who does not want to fight racism, police brutality, all of that stuff. But I'm not going to fall for this game. I'm not going to fall for this game that the revolutionaries want us to play. It wasn't a bunch of African Americans who were pulling down the statues. It was the lunatic, spoilt brats.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. And I think it's the fact of these people are just getting so caught up in all of the, as I've said before, the performative nature of the Black Lives Matter movement, where you're making children kneel about things that they have no concept over, and the fact that you need to remove certain books from your bookshelf because, yeah, that's really going to fix racism, or the fact that there are black people being incarcerated at a rate of knots compared to white people. It's going to do nothing to dismantle the dysfunction in all of the systems that we have that go against these people. So if you're focusing on pulling down statues and trying to rid your library about what books are deemed appropriate by a small select group of social media zealots, then I think more for you. So I think it's just really dangerous, and I think what's happening in Hong Kong is really, really terrifying, and I think it's really interesting it's happening now when the rest of the world and the rest of the South Pacific are focused on COVID, and they've quietly done this while we're all looking the other way. It's really terrifying.
No coincidence.
Well, exactly, which brings me to this here, Richo. Joel Fitzgibbon, he was on Channel 2 yesterday and he said this about why Australia shouldn't be offending China at a time when it is doing what it is doing to the people of Hong Kong, and as you saw, what they are doing to the literature in the libraries right now. Roll the tape.
There's a thing called diplomacy, and we don't unnecessarily have to be criticising the government of China when there's no need to be doing so.
Richo, I think there's a need to be doing so. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I'll disagree with my mate Joel on this one. I think whenever people try to eradicate history, you know there's a problem. And I don't want to eradicate history, I want to study it. And so I cannot go along with what's happening, and I just have to disagree with Joel.
So what is it about the muscle memory of parts of your party that it is not willing to stand up? That literally Albo at a shadow cabinet meeting is getting briefings from an institute that was defunded by the federal government because of its links to China. Why can't they see that now is the time to stand up? 500,000 people are dead because of their handling of the virus, and as Jenna said, their attempts to take over the South Pacific. The reason we're about to spend $270 billion on defence, including cyber defence, is because China is hitting us every day.
The balance between our trade with China and our defence alliance with the United States is always going to be extraordinarily difficult, and it's going to get more difficult. That's our problem. The great challenge facing Australia is how you balance those two things. And I'm not sure that I've seen yet anyone who has the complete answer on how it's to be done. But it's an incredibly difficult course we've set ourselves. And at any even nuance the wrong way on either side of it can get you into strife. So governments in Australia are going to have to be incredibly careful.